Good evening. Welcome to the Israelite Nation Worldwide Ministries Friday night YouTube broadcast. We are here today from Atlanta, Georgia. I'm sitting with my fellow leadership of our Atlanta branch. I have here
Elder Denise.
Elder Dexter.
And I'm Minister Donna. And tonight we are going to talk about the Lord's Passover. The Lord's Passover.
Amen.
This is a wonderful time of the year for Israelites,
Mm-hmm.
right?
It is.
And the beautiful thing is this Passover, the Lord's Passover, is something that's given exclusively to Israel. And we, as the Israelite Nation Worldwide Ministries, have the authority to teach about the Lord's Passover. So tonight we're here to share, we're here to inform, we're even here to equip you with the tools so that if you decide that you want to come on this journey and keep the Lord's Passover next year, you'll know what it's all about.
That's right.
Right? But understanding that it's exclusively for Israel. The world may say they're keeping the Passover,
Right.
but when you truly understand this scripture,
That's right.
you know that it's
only Israel.
only for Israel. Do
Right.
you want to add something
No,
to
only Israel understands. Only Israel, God has given that spirit of truth to Israel. So we understand that.
that? Right.
And, we follow the exact instructions that our God has given his people.
Mm-hmm.
And so no one else can claim that. They
Amen.
can't.
I
Well,
agree.
they may claim, but they're being false.
Exactly.
They're not being
False
truthful.
teachers.
Yeah.
I love this season. And it's funny, it starts, you know it's coming, but it starts like I always get a sign. And that sign always is those Canadian geese. Right? They
You
fly
seen
over
them?
your
I
house.
haven't
No,
seen
I never
them
seen them, but I hear them fly over your house.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you hear them like, wow, it's our time coming.
Yeah.
It's
It's
coming.
coming.
So and it's something, no matter how the weather changes, they still come. They
Yes.
still do what they got to do.
Yes.
Right?
They follow the law.
Right.
Yes.
So it's something for us, no matter how bad it is,
Yes.
we know we must keep this service to the
Yes.
God of Israel.
Yes.
No matter how bad it
Yes.
is, no matter what's going on,
That's right.
that's what we're told to do.
Exactly.
So true.
Exactly.
So true.
And even during this time, like you said, the signs, God's creation,
Mhm.
it ushers in, it lets us know. You can just look around, the trees,
Yeah.
they begin to bloom. It's beautiful.
life.
The
Mhm.
plants,
Time of life. and
everything
light.
comes to life.
Exactly.
It is so beautiful.
That is so beautiful.
And you feel it.
Yeah.
You feel it. It's like, oh, God of Israel, thank you for this.
Yeah, you can't
But we
help but to be a
understand.
part of it. The interesting thing
Yes.
is, and we've experienced it, over the years, that during this time, people start to inquire about
Yes, they do.
Israel.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It's like, it's throughout the whole year,
You
you
don't
don't
hear.
really hear much. But
Right.
during this time, it's like,
They want to
people
come.
want to come.
and
They
keep
want to
the
know about the
Passover.
Passover. And I'm like, there's so many other things. Yes, the Passover is very important.
Yes, it is.
But there's so many other parts to this puzzle.
Yes.
And you can't just take one
One
and,
piece.
and do that and then
Right.
leave and go back and do whatever you're doing and come back the next
Right.
year and want to just,
It doesn't
you
work
know what I'm
that
saying?
way.
It doesn't work
It's
like
not
that.
it's not a meal.
No.
It's
not
not
a meal.
so you go to the McDonald's and buy a little
That's
a
right.
meal.
And it's
That's
not
right.
it's not
Serious.
like a dinner where you come in and just sit down with somebody for one day and you
And
go
just-
back.
Right.
It's a family affair.
Family
That's
affair,
right.
right.
It's
That's
it's,
right.
It's a
It's
lifestyle.
the Lord's Passover.
Right.
And this is something we, the children of Israel, we have to do year after year after year. And we have to teach
Forever.
our children the
Yeah,
same.
from
So
generation to generation.
no, it's not a meal. You just meet somebody off the street and you
Right.
come in and
Come
have
sit down.
It's not that way.
Hey, come
And
on.
we just don't eat with everybody. We
They
don't.
they
It's
call you and say,
serious.
hey, can we keep the Passover?
Who are you?
Excuse you.
No,
Let's back it up a little bit.
Yeah.
Let's back it
No.
up a little bit.
Like,
do you
can
know?
you?
Do you know? That's what I said tonight. We're here to share because people have to understand that what it requires, right?
Right.
And that it's about Israel,
Yes.
the children of Israel, the
Right.
family of Israel,
That's
right? And we have to understand why we keep the Passover. When is the Passover? Because some people get that wrong.
That's right.
We need to understand
When?
how we do it,
Right.
what we're eating, right? Because some
Right.
folks, they might not be eating what the scripture says,
That's
right?
right.
Or doing, it's a holy day. So
That's
some
right.
people may be drinking wine, and we know
And
according to
we've
the
seen that.
scriptures, you're not supposed
Right.
to do that.
That's exactly right.
So, like I said, we're here to share, we're here
Instructions.
to inform,
Right.
What our God requires
Of
for the
us.
Israelite,
That's right.
and we're able to even give you the opportunity,
Yes.
hopefully based on what we're sharing,
Right.
to equip you to say, hey,
Exactly.
I want to keep the Lord's Passover, and
Right.
then next year you could join us
Right.
in doing it.
And you can see the instructions here. We're going to
So
share,
clear. So
dive
clear.
down into what our God says that he wants his children to do.
Right.
And if you're willing and open to do and obey him, you too can come in.
Right. And that's key instructions.
Yeah.
Oh,
That's the thing
yes.
people don't get.
Yeah.
People I intend to serve God, or I intend to do this. No, what does he say to do?
Right.
So it's not me. We're out of it.
That's
the
right.
equation.
That's
It's
right.
what did he say to do?
Right.
Exactly.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, my pastor says we can drink wine.
But what does
I haven't
God
seen
say?
your pastor in the scripture.
That's right.
Right. Yeah,
Right?
it's
I'm,
funny.
I'm saying I haven't
That's
seen
right.
him in the scripture.
Right.
And it don't say wine. I can tell you that.
Right.
Well, we have. What
Right.
about Beneshevis? What about unfermented wine? What about yeast? Why with no yeast?
Right.
No wine.
That's right.
They gotta have something to drink, right? What's up with that? Why you gonna drink?
That's right.
Wait till you go home and drink all you want. But when
Right.
you're serving
But that's-
God,
but
no
that's-
drinking.
That's right, and it's a clear indicator. You can
Right.
see that clear separation
Right.
that those that don't want to follow
Mhm.
God,
Right.
because they can't follow his instructions,
Right.
and you see who they're following. Lucy.
Exactly.
You know, they're
And-
following
They
Lucy.
find that truth.
Our God tells us obedience is better than sacrifice.
That's right.
Right.
Exactly.
So I totally get it, and you're absolutely right.
Yes.
We have to understand,
Yes.
that this is not something that's just, we always say play,
But,
right?
Yeah.
It's truly
It's life or death.
life or death.
That's-
It's
yeah.
a serious
Yeah.
thing. And when we talk about Passover, I can't help to think about my first Passover. It's like one of the things I love about being a part of this nation is what we do. I can look right here in the scripture and see it.
That's right.
That was so kind of just beautiful for me, like
Yes.
down to how to even make the unleavened bread.
Yes.
The instructions are there, right?
Yes,
Mingled
yes.
with flour, mingled with oil.
Oil.
So simple, right?
Yeah.
But a lot of people, they don't have kind of respect
No.
for that.
No.
So
And it's
it's like-
sad.
it's very sad. But so I can't help but to think about my first Passover experience. Like I said, it was, really being able to see what we were doing in the scriptures. Also just the journey, right? For me, my first time supping was actually Tabernacles, and then I came around to the Passover. And it's just, it's such a unifying experience,
It
right,
is.
for the family when you sit down with people who understand
Stand.
why you're here,
Yes.
right? And one of the things that God of Israel always says, remember
Yes.
when I brought you out of Egypt.
Yes.
Remember, and
Yeah.
remember.
the
We even have organization
But mine is
because we know that we as a
Right.
people, we tend to forget so
must
quick,
remember.
right? And we
Yes.
tend to look back,
That's right.
and no matter how much we suffer, we still sometimes look back to that
Right.
instead of looking
It's
forward
forward.
to freedom, right?
Mhm.
And that's what the Passover brings to me. I think of freedom, freedom to be who I am,
Yes.
freedom to serve my God, to be
Yes.
with my family.
Yes.
And for that time, I'm not in the land of my captivity.
No, you're
I'm
free.
free. I'm
Yes.
free. Yeah. What about you? Your first Passover
Yeah.
experience?
Oh yeah, my experience. First, let's see this. Israelite, remember. So you got us.
Yeah.
You can't say it one time.
That's right.
We
that's
forget.
true.
You
Right.
gotta say it. You gotta say
Exactly.
it again. Man,
Exactly.
my first was in Toronto. I remember the lamb. I remember because I never had lamb before.
Mm-hmm.
First time having lamb.
Mm-hmm.
That's great, right?
Mhm.
Never had lamb. First time this
Wow.
Passover,
Mhm.
right? So we had lamb and the bread. I remember this, and it was so much. I was at awe because man, this is our culture.
Yes.
You know, I was like, wow.
Yes.
I thought I read the Bible. I thought I read it.
Yeah.
So,
How did I
thought
miss
did.
that?
Yeah.
How did I miss that?
You know?
Yeah.
I remember that the second time when I had a little more, then I was able to help. I was able to make bread and clean up. So I think that's an important thing to be with it, to give.
To be
Yes.
a part.
Give yourself.
Yes.
So that's when you really know, man, I'm an Israelite.
Yeah.
And I'm not here just to. The food is great,
Right.
Hey,
the food
hey,
is the
it's
best.
great.
Yeah.
Mhm.
but the key thing is knowing why you're doing it,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
Not just a meal, like I said, not just a meal. It's not McDonald's.
Right.
You know, it's not.
Yeah.
It's your culture,
Mm-hmm.
and key thing, it's a service to God.
That's right.
Mhm.
It's a service.
That's
The Lord's
exactly right.
Passover.
That's exactly right. My first was in Toronto, and it was magnificent. It was really like coming home,
Mm.
and the thing there was just so many things that were just like light bulb moments. Everything that we did, you see it in the scriptures, the lamb, the bitters, your shoes, on your feet, and they made sure that, the water, they made sure that all the males had to be circumcised. Everything you saw right there. And then as the Passover meal, the eldest, they would have a young child ask the question, and the eldest would answer why. So you see the scriptures.
Even down to that piece.
Yes, the scriptures were coming to life. And then, of course, there was a play with the children. So that was fascinating to see the gifts of the children, Oh, it was just, it was amazing.
The children is one of the things that really, drew me into Israel as well when I saw them read with wisdom from the scriptures and just their talents and their gifts was really a big component of drawing me in, outside of just kind of wanting to know who I am and doing what I'm supposed to do. The children were a big component of that. But for me, just being able to understand about the Lord's Passover and coming into the understanding that I had to keep this every year, just grateful.
Yes.
Just grateful,
to know and
right?
understand.
To know for so many years I didn't know who I was and what I should be doing. So there was a sense of gratitude of knowing that, on top of the fact that I could go back and see in the scriptures that we were doing exactly. We were being obedient, right? And that's what you want to do. For me, that's what it was want to do what thus saith the Lord God of Israel. So that was a beautiful thing for me.
As you say that, and I think about all of us growing up, and during that season, of course, quote unquote Easter, and we would all see the 10 Commandments, right? And you saw the story, and every time I saw that, I don't know, but it always felt like that was a part of me. I mean, that event, right? The whole Passover, the children of Israel. But I could never connect.
Right.
I could never connect it. Nobody could ever show me how, that's why I feel this way. So to have that first Passover, and it's like, oh my God, this is what this is
what
really,
it was. That was the thing in me that was speaking. It was like a whisper, and now it's confirmed. It's validated.
And I have been chosen to be where I am and who I am, and to understand it and to help others to get this. You know, that's an honor.
It is.
It truly is an honor to be chosen.
It is.
It is.
I remember when I was a young person, grew up in Christianity, watching the 10 Commandments. I always thought, as a young black person, and you see the struggles that we go through, like, how come in Christianity they'll address that? It's like they're being ignored.
Yes.
But then when I saw the 10 Commandments, I said, hold up, there were some people in bondage and slavery, and God helped them.
Yes.
So I look in Christianity, where is that God helping us? So I said something's not right there, right?
Right.
So.
And that's a good point, Elder Dexter, because even when grown up in Christianity, when you go to different churches, white churches and stuff, the way you're treated, that treatment, even though you're all Christians, but your treatment is different when your color is different. There's so many things that just don't add up, and they don't work.
Right.
You know what I mean? So those are things that help me to question, like, wait a minute, why am I different? Why are you? It just doesn't add up. I need things to add up.
Never talk about it. Like the pastor, how come you don't discuss that? Like, where are we in the Bible?
That's right.
And in Christianity, why are they talking so much about Easter when it's only mentioned a couple times? When you see Passover all throughout this Bible,
that's right.
Remember what I did in Egypt? Like,
how
can you skip that over?
Right. Gloss over, like,
just doesn't.
Something ain't right.
Yeah.
Something's not right.
Something's a miss.
Yes. But thank God we know and we can
Amen.
speak to it with authority about what is right. So let's get into it and see what the scripture says about the Lord's Passover.
Hungry, right? You're hungry.
And we're going to see where this all started. What were the origins of the Passover? And with that being said, let's go to Exodus chapter 12.
Amen.
And we're going to start with verse 1.
Mm-hmm.
We're just going to read a little bit to chapter 12. We may not read the whole thing, but for those who want a good understanding, definitely read a whole book of Exodus.
That's right.
A beautiful story.
Yes.
It sets you up to bring us to this point of why we're keeping the
That's
Passover,
right.
why it's necessary.
That's right. And why it's so important for us to remember.
Remember.
Yes.
Remember.
Mm-hmm.
And not only that, to make sure that we don't find ourselves in that same situation, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because we know the children of Israel were in bondage in Egypt. They were suffering.
Mm-hmm.
But before that, there was a time where things were going
Great.
Mm-hmm. Right?
Mm-hmm.
But at this time, this is a time of bondage.
Yes.
Our people, they were in Egypt.
Yes.
They were now a nation. They went in,
Yes.
about 70
That's right.
people, a family.
Mm-hmm.
And as God of Israel blessed them, they
That's right.
grew and they became a nation that was even kind of feared by the Egyptians because
That's right.
how they were growing. How are they growing
Yes.
so much? They're going to overtake us,
Yes.
right?
Yes. But that's the blessings of God.
That's the blessings of God,
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But the fear of those who are inadequate,
That's
so to
right.
speak, right?
Right.
And a lot of that you can kind of, I don't know if you can juxtapose it to kind of the racism we deal with today,
That's
right?
exactly right.
You see that same spirit of
Right.
Egypt here in America.
That's exactly
It's
right.
called racism.
Right. Yes, it is.
When they look and they see you're so talented,
Right.
even though we've done everything to
Everything.
bring you down,
Mhm.
how
Why
are you still singing? How are you
Yes.
still, creating and,
Right.
and being, just who you
Just-
are, the
just
salt of the earth? How? Because
special
we've done everything
thing
to purposely
Mhm.
bring you down,
Right.
to crush you,
Right.
but you still rise up.
Yes.
How is that?
Because
You gotta be angry. They
Gotta be.
gotta
Yes.
be.
You couldn't even read. You were not allowed to read.
That's right.
Vice President. Come on.
Right. And we're and it's interesting, and I would be afraid as well, because when you really think about it, everything that they've
If you
done
were
to
insecure,
us.
though, you'd be afraid.
Yeah,
Right.
yes, but if you really, and you're honest, and
With
you really
self.
look at it, that's right,
Mhm.
and you really look at it, here you've done everything. The foreparents of these people, they were slaves. We mistreated them. Look at what we have done to mistreat them. But now they can drive the same kind of car I can drive. They can live in the same neighborhood. Their children go to school with me. And when they're given the opportunity, they shine brighter
Right.
than I do.
With ease.
Yes, and it's
Even
like
the fact
seamless.
that we have their hands
That's
tied behind
right.
their back.
That's right.
They
when
still
you're honest,
rise.
when you're
Right.
honest with yourself, and you really look at it with really pure eyes, I would be afraid.
But
I
to
would.
me,
But then
that's
too,
what starts
I
the
would
healing
gravitate.
process.
I
though.
would gravitate because I would like, wow, there's something about them. Let
It's
me,
true.
let me befriend them. Let me get some of that.
But
Right.
that's how
different.
they should
That's
approach
different.
it,
That's
right?
that's what
That's
you know
different.
what I'm saying?
I
'Cause-
always say, it's like when you see what's going on in the world, even here today in Atlanta recently, they had the attack on some Asian community.
Yeah.
Folks, a white guy went in and shot up different shops, parlors, massage parlors, and killed several Asian people.
Yeah.
And people, they're trying to attribute it to a
It's
racism. Some
interesting.
people said it's a hate crime. Some people, they're saying it's still under
Sex
investigation,
crime.
whatever.
Mhm.
But it's always like when President Biden came to Georgia and he wanted to sit down and talk to the Asian community,
That's right.
But my thing is, you need to talk to the white community.
That's
They're
right.
the ones that have
Right.
the issue,
That's
right? They're
exactly
the
right.
ones putting this hatred and
That's right.
violence against people that are just being themselves.
That's
right?
Right.
So it's like it starts with people of that mindset
That's
taking a look and being honest with themselves.
That's right.
And the wonderful thing about Black people, children of slavery, we are merciful.
Yes, we are.
We are forgiving.
Yes, we are.
If you, just like our God, when he says, you know what, you've done messed up stuff, but just say you're wrong.
Yeah,
and
just admit.
I'll forgive you. We
Isn't
good,
that-
right? But
yes.
we're the same way.
We're like our Father.
If people that perpetuate racism and hatred towards my people would just take a moment
Yes.
to be honest with themselves
That's
and said,
right.
we did you wrong.
Yes.
I see, how great you are.
Yes.
And hey, I was even a little insecure, but you know what?
Yes.
I acknowledge that. And
yes.
show me how to be like you are.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
And
we would be open to.
that's exactly
That's
right.
why we say we have it's not a color thing.
No,
for
it
us.
isn't.
It's
It
the
isn't.
spirit. It's the character of you. It's
That's
the
right.
inward parts
That's
of you
exactly right.
that make you who you are.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Not the color of your skin.
No, and for those that are that way, those are the ones, okay? Because if you see it that way, it's like God has prepared your heart to receive.
Mm-hmm.
Your heart is open. You've opened your heart
Yes.
for the truth.
Right. Which
So-
we've seen in the scripture.
Yes.
Cornelius.
Yes.
We've
You
seen that.
if you've humbled yourself
Mhm.
and you really see you're honest, you can accept that. That's what
Right.
God wants.
Right.
He wants us all to have a willing heart and
Right.
an open heart to
And-
receive the truth.
And even if you don't want to serve this God,
Yeah.
you can still give us dap. You know what I'm
Because
saying?
it's
Because
the
you've
truth.
seen kings do that, right?
Hey.
Hey, Pharaoh was like, go on, but bless me too, right?
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
it's
I ain't gonna be one of you.
you don't have
but
to be,
yes.
but you can still
That's
just, you know,
right.
we could be good.
That's right.
Just don't get your foot off my neck.
That's right.
Stop being unfair
That's
and
right.
unjust.
That's right.
And we can live.
We can
har-
coexist.
Yeah, we can
in
coexist
harmony.
in harmony.
We can have an agreement and we can live our lives and do what we need to do. And we all good.
There's nothing wrong with being insecure or
But be honest
or
about it.
sad or
That's
angry.
Right.
That's emotions.
That's right.
That's what you
Human
do.
nature.
do with it.
That's
how
right.
you
That's the
act it
problem.
out.
Right,
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
And don't do things unjustly. Just be honest and truthful.
Right.
You're better for it.
Yeah.
And you will be blessed as a result of it. You know what I mean?
I agree.
Because those
I
that
agree.
bless us are blessed. Those that curse us, they're going to be cursed. And we
Yeah.
see it all the time.
Yeah, it's just interesting because it's like the children of Israel, the children of slavery,
Mhm.
even those that don't know that they're Israel. You know, we have work to do on the side
Yes,
of
we
understanding who we are,
Yes, we do.
our identity, our culture, these things. If we understand who we are in this book and start doing this, it will benefit us. But on the other side, those that are not like us, the Gentiles or the
Mhm.
strangers,
Mhm.
they have work to do.
Yes, they do.
You know, they have a lot of work to do, and I think they're in denial about what is required, right? And they're going to suffer
Yes,
until
they
they
are.
acknowledge
Yes.
what they've done,
Yes.
and they reckon with it.
Yes.
Whether they choose to or not, they're going to have to, because that's what our
There's
God
no.
said.
That's right. There is. They have no choice
They
in the
don't,
matter.
right? So
It's just a
you know,
matter of when
just
you're
stop
gonna,
playing around
because
and
listen,
let's just
when it's all said and done, every knee shall bow and
Every
every
knee shall
tongue
bend.
will confess.
Amen.
That's what the word says.
Right.
So
You
you
know,
have no choice.
I saw on the show, I think it was ABC News, they had that guy Don Lemon,
Oh,
and
yeah.
he wrote a book recently, and he was saying how a lot of white women were asking him what to do. You know, I feel so bad about what we see on TV
Mhm.
with the black community. What do you do? You know what he said? It was surprising. He said, "You know what?" He said, "At your churches, because most of y'all are Christians," he said, "at your churches, at your homes, take down that white picture of Jesus. He was not
Did he say
European."
that?
Yeah.
Wow.
He said, "Put a black man up there or a man of color, because he was not white. He didn't have blonde hair."
That's a good starting point.
Yeah,
I-
it is.
That's a bomb,
didn't know
right?
that.
Because
It's true.
just that image,
Mhm.
Yes.
now you have to change your whole way of thinking,
That's
right?
That's right.
Your whole way of thinking,
Yeah.
not about just this Jesus,
That's
but
right.
all the people that
That's
look like
right.
him.
Yeah.
That's
So
exactly
that
right.
that is a bomb.
Yeah.
That is
Wow, did
that's
he
a
really?
bomb.
Surprised he said it like, "Who's this guy? Is this him?"
Right.
You know his
Wow.
background. You know.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
like he
yeah.
can say that. You
Mhm.
know.
Right.
Wow.
So
So
it's like
that would be a great starting point.
yeah, it's
But I just know they have work to do, and a
Yes,
lot
they
of them
do.
are in denial. They want somebody else to
To
tell
do.
them what to do
Right.
Yeah.
or figure it out for them. But you
Right.
got to figure it out for yourself,
that's right.
and you have to convince the people that look like you to do the
The
same,
same thing, right. But it's
because we can't do we can't do it.
no,
You know what I'm saying?
it's a big job. If I had to do it, I would be like, I'm telling you.
But how hard is it? Respect
But
people.
I just don't
What's the
get
problem?
it.
I
But you
understand
know
that.
what?
That's simple.
And when you really think about it, it's like for 400 years that we've been here, they've been lied to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I can't believe anything else because
Mm-hmm.
you mean my grandma, great, all of these people that were here lied to me? Yes.
yeah, they did
So they just,
to make themselves feel bigger, better than what
but
they actually are.
but when they honestly look at it, it's the truth is gonna hit you in the
It's
face.
gonna hit
It's
you.
gonna hit you and say,
And if you
That's-
want to truly be your best, you have to be
You-
honest with yourself.
that's right.
Yeah.
There's
You know
no
what
other
I'm
way.
saying?
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's just it's not.
But it's easier to swallow the lie. I
Yeah.
guess for some people, I'm one of those people. It choked me. I just couldn't do it.
Yeah.
I just,
Yeah.
I
Yeah. That's the blessing. There's something in you.
Yep.
But anyway, Exodus 12, we're going to read about the origins of the Lord's Passover. We're going to start with verse 1. And it says, "And the Lord spake unto Moses and Aaron in the land of Egypt, saying, This month shall be unto you the beginning of months. It shall be the first month of the year to you. Speak ye unto all the congregation of Israel, saying, In the 10th day of this month they shall take to them every man a lamb, according to the house of their fathers, a lamb for a house. And if the household be too little for the lamb, let him and his neighbors next unto his house take it according to the number of souls. Every man according to his eating shall make your count for the lamb. Your lamb shall be without blemish, a male of the first year. Ye shall take it out from the sheep or from the goats, and ye shall keep it up until the 14th day of the same month. And the whole assembly of the congregation of Israel shall kill it in the evening." Okay? So in this, what we've read so far, there's a lot. We see that the first month of the year is Abib, and this is the beginning of months. It is the springtime for us. It's the time of life. We know that the God of Israel has put signs so that this season happens when light reigns. So it's not going to happen when darkness reigns, right? No. Light is reigning at this time. It's a new beginning. Life is budding. You know, it's a perfect time for a kind of a regeneration, a renewal for Israel, right? And this is when the Passover is happening, right?
I think it's key. A lot of people, they miss a point. The first verse says, "In the land of Egypt."
That's right.
Right? They misconstrue as this. You can't keep Passover in the land of captivity. Oh, it's the first. It is captivity.
Yes.
We couldn't leave Egypt.
That's
right.
right.
So asked Pharaoh, let us go.
Right. That's
so
exactly.
We were
that's
in
the point. That's right.
So you're saying people say
they said we can't keep Passover today because we're not in the land.
No, but did
that's
it not
that's
say?
What they say.
And we're
the first Passover was in Egypt, right?
That's right. When we were in bondage.
Right.
When we were in bondage.
Yeah. And if people read through the scriptures, we'll see from Moses to Joshua, Josiah, Hezekiah, Ezekiel, Paul, Peter, Jesus, Passover's kept.
That's right.
We will touch on some of that today.
Exactly. And clearly, speak ye unto all the congregation of Israel.
So this is a
not the
family
world,
affair.
but to my family, my children, my people.
Right. And this is why we say, Israelites, we have the authority on this scripture. This is not for the world.
No, it isn't.
You come under this umbrella to learn how to serve this God. Right?
That's
because we see it here. Speak unto the children of Israel. Right? We also see the lamb is utilized for the Passover. And this lamb has to be a male without blemish. That's very critical when we talk more a little bit about the Passover in future state. But
and you see in verse 4 how it says, you know, the household was too small for the lamb.
Right.
Let the household come and get it. So it's so family.
Exactly.
It's family. A community. It's community. It's family, and it's not
greed.
No.
It's a level of sharing
and
coming together. So true. All right. So we're going to pick up verse 7, and it says, "And they shall take of the blood and strike it on the 2 side posts and on the upper doorposts of the houses wherein they shall eat. And they shall eat the flesh, and that night roast with fire and unleavened bread, and with bitter herbs they shall eat it. Eat not of it raw, nor sodden at all with water, but roast with fire, his head with his legs, and with the pertinence thereof." So another critical component, right?
Again, we must follow instructions. He's telling us, this is how I want you to prepare this lamb that you're going to be killing. Now, I'm giving you the date to do it, everything. Everything is so precise.
Right.
Now, I want you to roast it with fire, have unleavened bread with your bitters, but also make sure that there is no water. You know, you're not going to don't boil it. No water, you're going to roast it. That's
no
right.
blood.
Did it say wine?
No wine. Very simple. Nope. Just the lamb,
God forbid,
bread, and bitter herbs.
Grape juice.
None of that.
None of that.
And the beautiful thing as we go through, the the beautiful thing about our God, there's purpose to everything that he does.
That's right.
There is purpose to the Lamb.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
There's purpose to the Lamb on this day.
That's right.
The time of Jesus.
That's right.
And today.
That's right.
There's purpose to the unleavened bread. And there's purpose to the bitter
everything.
herbs. That is so beautiful to me. Not so much the fact that we are obeying what he said, but it means something. Each thing that we eat means something.
And it helps to reinforce our remembering.
Yes.
And our teaching.
It's beautiful because he knows us. He's our Father, right?
The bitters, those babies know. The first time we had bitters, it was like, oh my, you know, some people would get sick. But we have to. It's love. I want my people to remember.
And it's funny how you say it because the children, one thing, it's so funny because sometimes when you make it, it might have a color that looks like juice. And they just like, ooh, you know, they're getting it. And then when they take that first and they like, and the face, oh, it's priceless. But like you said, they'll never forget from day one. Like for my babies, I mean, I remember taking a piece of the finger when they're little, not even, you know, still breastfeeding. You put that on their tongue and, you know, they know, you know. So from generation to generation, it will not stop. It won't end.
That's
right.
That's right.
It's so important. Each component of what we do on this night,
it just reinforces the essence. It's like being, again, I love this. It's like being transported back, and that's what our first Passovers were. It was like being transported back into time. What you read here.
And it connects you with our forefathers because this is just not a book that we read, right?
No.
And a lot of times people just look at, it's just a story. But when you do things like this, it connects you back to our forefathers and what they did. You know what I'm saying? So it's just a wonderful thing.
It's like the bloodline. You can see the bloodline and how we're connected.
And you feel so proud to be a part of. This is our family.
Culture.
This is my family.
This is my people.
This is my
people.
Yes. And every day you make the unleavened bread. You hope your children are watching it so you can see what it's. You keep passing down a custom.
Yes.
Right. Make that unleavened bread.
It's so beautiful because you know
it is.
And then, I mean, I was just talking to my girls, and they were like, I can't wait to make the unleavened bread this year. Like, you know, they're excited for it. And it's like, it just blessed my heart. Like, they want to be in the culture doing this.
Yes.
That's what it's all about.
And again, that's what our Father wants for his children. Amen. He wants that family togetherness, that connection. You know, and then when you're making the bread, you're talking and there's nothing like it. There's nothing like it.
Remember the year that we had here in Atlanta, and we had the 2 lambs on the stick?
Oh my God!
Oh man,
that was
awesome.
the beautiful.
But you know what? And it was like,
it was awesome.
And nothing went wrong. It was like, you know, it was like I know we had that spiritual assistance that we needed. We felt it. Yeah. All of us did.
The unity, and it was
like unreal. Yeah. The first time here in the U.S. was that done. Yeah, it was at 2017. That was powerful. That was powerful. Wow. Yeah, it was a beautiful day just to watch and be a part of that. And even, you know, I had the opportunity to witness the lamb being killed. That was wow. Oh, and that was a little lamb we had. I'm glad I didn't see that. Yeah, that was but it wasn't that bad. Okay. I mean, the crazy thing. I bet the thing was amazing, just the experience. For me, when the lamb looked like the expression, I might think I'm crazy, but it was like the lamb knew this is what I'm supposed to do. That's what I sensed. It was just like probably. It wasn't like trying to do. One was a little crazy, but there were 2. But yeah, it was almost like, this is what I'm supposed to do. That's what I felt. You know, for me, that was interesting. And that's beautiful because it's like, you know, when Noah had to bring the animals, you know, they knew. Yeah. It was it makes you wonder. You know what I'm saying? That something on them to make them. You know what I'm saying? Because when I witnessed what I witnessed there, it's like, you know, God of Israel has command over all his creation, right? That's exactly right. So that makes sense. It does. That's not crazy. That makes sense.
It just
yes.
It just, again, when you experience things like that, it just brings the scriptures more alive for you.
Did it
It's not just a meal. It's a purpose.
That's right. That's exactly right.
So.
And we have to obey our God, and it has to be. I mean, look, the blood over the door. There has to be the blood.
Right.
There, there has to be the sacrifice. This is the Lord's Passover. It's a sacrifice.
You always make light of things like, because we as a people, like, you just got to make sure you do it right? Because, like, what if somebody was like, they forgot to put it on the doorpost? You know what I'm saying? It's like, you be messed up because the angel of death, that's what kept the angel of death away.
And see, that's the beautiful thing. When God gives a command, his hosts, they're going to obey. They don't play.
Right.
They're going to obey.
It's so if you my friend, or you was nice.
No, no. If you
don't have that blood on that doorpost,
because God said this is what you got to do, and if you do that, I'm going to pass over, and if you don't, oh well.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah. So obedience again is better than sacrifice.
Yes.
It's key for the Israelite. Okay, so we're going to pick up verse 10. It says, "And ye shall let nothing of it remain until the morning." Again, in obedience. And that which remain of it until the morning ye shall burn with fire. So that would be like the bones. And thus shall you eat it with your loins girded, your shoes on your feet, and your staff in your hand, and ye shall eat it in haste. It is the Lord's Passover.
So again, it's not like you said, Elder Dexter, it's not like eating a McDonald's meal. You're just sitting there watching a movie, Netflix, kick back, shoes off. You know what I'm saying? It's not like that. Yeah, it's not like that. You're prepared to go.
To get
so you
out.
have to keep your shoes
on. Your loins girded means you're ready. You're not all, got your purse there, this there. And you're ready, like they say, ready to go. Right.
Exactly. But again, obedience.
Obedience is critical. It's critical. Verse 12, "For I will pass through the land of Egypt this night, and will smite all the firstborn in the land of Egypt, both man and beast, and against all the gods of Egypt I will execute judgment. I am the Lord."
Hey.
He's executing judgment for his people, right? Because he heard our cries in Egypt, right?
Yes.
All the suffering from when Moses was a little baby and the little boys were, killed. You know what I'm saying? He sees. He knows.
And our cries were ignored. But honey, he says, don't worry, babies.
I'm going to take care of
this. I'm going to handle this.
Right.
Look at here. And what you're going to hear in Egypt, it's never been heard, and you never heard it.
Just imagine that battle.
I mean,
Israel coming to Egypt. All those guys
show out.
down.
Can you imagine every house in Egypt, every family was impacted by this.
Yeah.
Every family and all the animals, everything.
Right. And
don't mess with God.
Not only this, you had the plagues too, right? Yeah. So it's like they were already beat down.
Egypt has never recovered.
It's already suffered.
Let's go. Let's go.
It's too much. I can't. I just
killed my son. Everybody, let's just go. Take everything you got. By the way, bless me too.
Yeah, don't forget to bless me.
Wow, you can't, and this same thing. We're in the new Egypt.
We are.
The same thing, it will happen.
It has,
You know what I'm saying?
A lot of people on the news and a lot of different leaders, like governors or whatever, I've heard refer to this whole thing, the COVID thing, as a plague. Right? You hear these little, words, I say like buzzwords that really connect you back to what our forefathers experienced and what we've experienced many times over, being in captivity and coming out, right?
Yes.
But God of Israel is going to avenge his people.
Yes, he is.
Right? You can't hurt them
and
go without
retribution. You remember, I can remember just a few weeks ago seeing this video of this white minister and with his congregation. He was telling the people, he said, listen, get your mouth off black people because they're the children of God. And white people, you better get it right because...
Who this guy?
No.
Watch this.
Didn't I share it with
you? Yeah, you did.
Yeah.
I was like, oh my
Recently?
God. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
He was telling his congregation, white people, get your mouth off black people, off the children of God, because don't you think for a moment that God is not going to avenge his people, because he is. So get it right. You better be asking for some forgiveness and turn around, because
it's true, he did.
You don't want to be on that side. He sure did.
Yeah.
He sure did.
Yeah.
But then, if you're black and you still toting that cross around your neck,
hey,
right? Don't
That's
expect
the
God
problem.
to avenge for you.
Yeah,
Because
that's true,
you
because-
on the other side now.
Right.
Right.
That's right.
That's true.
That's a very good point.
That's true.
Mm-hmm.
That's true. Verse 13. And the blood shall be to you for a token upon the houses where ye are. And when I see the blood, I will pass over you.
Mm-hmm.
See, hence the word Passover.
Passover.
And the plague shall not be upon you to destroy you when I smite the land of Egypt. And this day shall be unto you for a memorial, and ye shall keep it a feast to the Lord throughout your generations. Ye shall keep it a feast by an ordinance forever.
Now, forever, there are no stipulations.
Right.
Well, if you're in this, if you don't feel like it. No.
If I move to Jersey, that's what I do it. If I move to Montana or California, that's what I do it.
Yes.
Yeah, it don't
That's
matter.
what a memorial is.
Memorial.
It
Forever,
doesn't-
man.
It's
It's
there.
That's right.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Forever is forever.
Forever, ever. Mm-hmm.
Verse 15. 7 days shall ye eat unleavened bread, even the first day shall ye put away leaven out of your houses. For whosoever eateth leavened bread from the first day unto the seventh day, that soul shall be cut off from Israel. So again, obedience is important.
That's right.
We see that, number one, if you don't have that blood on your doorpost,
Right.
if you don't have the leaven out
of your house.
it's problematic.
Mhm.
It's detrimental to your soul. It's detrimental to your life.
And it's exactly, so obeying him, it's like putting the blood on the doorpost.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
It's true.
That's what it's like.
It's
So
like-
if you can't follow those instructions, okay,
Right.
death.
Right. And then when I think about, even for those out there listening, and listening tonight and thinking, hey, this is something that I might want to do and prepare for next Passover. But you can also not help but to think, well, what about the times past when I didn't know who I was and I didn't do this, right? But the beautiful thing is the God of Israel is merciful, and he's given us the Day of Atonement.
Yes.
For many times me on that day, I'm praying for the time period that I didn't know who I was and the things that I did in ignorance, right?
Yes.
And that he was so
He's
merciful to now give me this understanding.
Yes. Give
And
me
the
the
important thing
chance
is
to-
when you get it,
Mhm.
and for those of you hearing tonight and it makes sense, the important thing is when you understand
Yes.
is to then execute and
Yes.
do something
Yeah.
Yes.
different.
Yes.
Don't stay in the same place.
Right.
Yeah.
Because if you've been given this understanding now, there is a reason why, right?
And
Because
don't worry
tomorrow's
about-
not promised.
Don't
You
worry
don't
about
know.
how long it's been or whatever.
Well, yeah.
What was you gonna say?
No, I was just thinking, well, he did it this
Some
time
people say they've been listening for
for
20 years.
20, 15
Right.
years. I mean,
Move, act. What you doing?
yes.
You gotta
And
do
if
something.
because if you don't,
You see
there is
time.
no promise that you may get next year
Right.
or the next one. So if you
Yeah.
understand now, then again, execute.
Do
Move.
something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because tomorrow things can change in a split second.
Split second.
Yeah.
So true.
Mhm.
So true. Verse 16. And in the first day there should be a holy convocation, and in the seventh day there should be a holy convocation to you. So these are like Sabbaths.
Mhm.
No manner of work shall be done in them, save that which every man must eat,
Mhm.
that only may be done for you.
Mhm.
Right?
Mhm.
So he thinks about it all, right?
Right. Everything's covered.
And ye shall observe the feast of unleavened bread, for in the selfsame day have I brought your armies out of the land of Egypt.
Mhm.
Therefore shall ye observe this day in your generations by an ordinance forever.
Mhm.
Right?
Mhm.
In the first month, on the 14th day of the month at even,
Mhm.
ye shall eat unleavened bread until the 21st day of the month at even.
Mm.
7 days
Yeah.
shall there be no leaven found in your house.
Mhm.
For whosoever eat that which is leavened, even that soul shall be cut off from the congregation of Israel, whether he be a stranger or born in the land. Ye shall eat nothing leavened, in all your habitations shall you eat unleavened bread.
So look at, again, this has only been given to Israel. The world and everyone outside of Israel is going to be doing their own thing.
Right.
Eat
So
matzah.
there's no hope,
So
as
that's
long
the-
as they stay in that. This knowledge is only in Israel. It is. And I can remember years ago seeing a video. I think it was like a documentary of some Europeans, and they were Jewish, quote unquote Jewish, and they were keeping the Passover, and they had wine. They had brought out a cake, like two or three, or maybe 4 layers, a cake, and this was during the Passover, and wine, and they dipped the finger in the wine and put it on the baby's tongue, and I'm like, what are they doing?
Yeah.
I just didn't get it. It's just, again, that understanding and that willingness to obey. It's just not there. It's not.
I think the when you can't get the name right, but as being an Israelite, and you can't get the God of Israel name right, then it's a spiritual disconnect.
Yes, there is.
Right. Therefore, you can't do anything right.
Yeah. That's right.
You might get something here or there, but
it's
the main thing you'll always be confused,
off,
and you won't do the things as according to the scripture.
Right.
Like for instance, like unleavened bread, whole wheat flour, water,
whole wheat,
oil.
Right.
Simple.
No sugar.
Ain't no sugar, no honey, no salt. This what it is. There's a purpose for that.
Right. That's right.
Because
you got to remember.
Right.
That's right.
But key thing is, it's not just regular bread.
No.
It's angels' food.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's special bread.
Yes, it is.
So you don't want to. You want to do it exactly how I was told to make it.
That's right.
That's how you. It's a reason why, right?
Right.
And
we're going to talk about the bread. We're going to talk about the bread a little bit more. We'll go into detail about that, but it's so true. And it's important again during this time when we read verse 16. It talks about the Holy Convocation at the first day, and then later on the 7th day. But and these are holy times, so there's a separation, between holy and unholy. So we know that as Israelites, when it's holy, we don't have wine.
No.
There's certain things that we prepare our temple to serve this God when there's a holy convocation or Sabbath. So it's very clear, around that separation, right? And we'll see that more in some of the scriptures. But just to recap of the requirements that we've discussed around the Lord's Passover, we talked about the timing. It's the 14th day. We talked about what we're eating, right? The lambs, the bitters, and unleavened bread. Very simple. How the lamb is supposed to be prepared, right? Fire, roasted. Even in this first Passover, this lamb, this sacrifice was to be a male, and it was to be unblemished, right? Very critical when you learn more about the sacrifice of Jesus, right? Because it's all related. We understand that there can be, we didn't talk about it yet, but there's a scripture that talks about the bones can't be broken for the lamb. Very critical. Again, we talk about Jesus, right? But we can read that in Numbers 9, but we'll go there. But also, nothing left over.
That's right.
For the lamb. You have to eat it that night, no leftovers.
That's right.
So you can't pack some up, take
can't
to your job?
Take to your job,
Hey,
give it to
hey,
a
Jay,
friend.
what's
You
on
got
That's a lamb.
some
Give it
leftovers
there.
for the next,
Okay.
That's why the scripture says, get enough for your household.
Right.
And if it's too
the
much,
lamb you got
share.
is too much, share, because you got to eat it that night.
Right.
So again, it's so perfect.
Right.
It's so tight.
And then with the remains, and then make sure you burn it the next day.
Right.
And when you burn it, you make sure that no animals or anything can,
can mess with it.
Right.
And then how do we prepare ourselves? We didn't talk about one key component. We'll talk about that a little bit. That's the circumcision.
Oh, okay.
But you must have the shoes on your feet. Your loins are girded. It's not.
Ready.
It's a haste.
Yeah.
Right.
The
Because
whole idea is haste here, right?
Right.
Even with the unleavened bread.
Right.
We don't have time for the
No,
yeast
to release the rise and all that.
We about to go to Egypt.
Right, you got to
430
go.
years.
Your shoes need
It's
to be
so
on.
same day.
Right.
We're ready to get out.
That's right.
Right.
It's no
You wanna stay
ready
longer?
to go tarrying. It's
Really?
bondage. Right.
Think about it. We want to stay longer than that.
No.
Let's get out.
Deuces.
No?
I'm out.
Shoot, man.
Deuces.
Right. Pharaoh has been horrible. See you.
Right. Absolutely.
Shoot, man.
And we know that it's a family affair.
Fair.
This
That's
is
right.
for
Israel.
the family of Israel. And then one component that we didn't touch on, which is important, and the situation came up later.
If the dead
around
body.
touching the dead.
Yeah.
So let's go to that. It's
Okay.
in Numbers 9. And I hope everybody's kind of taking your notes for your first time. We're going to take it slow and making sure that we understand how to do this thing, right?
Yeah.
Because the obedience is the critical factor
Yes, it is.
when it comes to the Lord's Passover. So we're gonna read Numbers 9, get there.
Numbers 9, what do you want me to
Let's
start?
start
1?
verse 9
9
to 11.
Okay. And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, Speak unto the children of Israel, saying, If any man of you, or of your posterity, your children, shall be unclean by reason of a dead body, or be in a journey afar off, yet he shall keep the Passover unto the Lord. The 14th day of the second month at even, they shall keep it, and eat it with unleavened bread and bitter herbs.
And you can go into verse 12. as well.
Okay. They shall leave none of it unto the morning, nor break any bone of it, according to all the ordinances of the Passover. They shall keep it.
Right. So this was a scenario, if you read the whole chapter,
Mhm.
when Moses, someone came to him and was like, hey, I touched a dead body, what do I do? And he was like, well, wait, let me inquire of the Lord. He didn't make
It's his own decision.
himself.
Well, let me.
He inquired because he
Right.
wanted to get it right. He
Right.
understood how important it was. And this is what the God of Israel came back.
Yes.
The thing is this, the God of Israel didn't say, well, just don't keep it.
Right.
It's so, this thing is so important
That's
that
right.
he's saying, okay, we'll make a provision. In the second month, still on the 14th
You
day,
still have to
you
adhere
still have to
to
adhere
right.
to what I am asking here.
Right.
Because you have to remember this great thing. When I split the waters
That's right.
and Israel went through on dry ground, and before that, I tore
That's
down
right.
Egypt with plagues
That's
and
right.
the firstborn. You have
Took
to
out their
remember this.
gods.
Led you by a
Yes.
pillar,
Yes.
a cloudy pillar, and a fire by
fire by-
night. This
that's
is not
right.
something that you can forget.
You
I
can't.
did this for you
You.
because you were suffering.
Mhm.
People were treating you bad.
That's right.
And this is what I've done for you. Don't forget
Right.
it.
And you have to remember this. You must. So
have
if
to
you can't
remember.
the first, I'm making provisions so
For
that
the
you can.
second.
That's how important
That's how
it is.
important it is.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And forever.
Mm-hmm.
Forever. And then the other piece I wanted to talk about and touch on specifically so that we can see the importance of the circumcision.
Oh yeah, they're very
so
important.
let's go back to Exodus 12.
Mm-hmm. Very important.
Israel, we have the covenant of circumcision.
Mhm.
So from day one with Abram, that was required.
Mhm.
So we already know that
Mhm.
this
That's
has to
very
happen,
important.
right?
Yeah.
But at the same time, when we left Egypt, there were strangers amongst us. It wasn't just all Israel,
That's
right?
right.
So if you with us, you got to do what we do,
That's
so to
right,
speak. So do you have it, Elder
Yeah.
Dexter?
From 43, what you want to start at?
I
43,
think is it 48?
43 to 48.
You want to start at 43?
And the Lord said to Moses and Aaron, This is the ordinance of the Passover. There shall no stranger eat thereof,
Mm-hmm.
but every man's servant that is is brought for money, when thou hast circumcised him, then shall he eat thereof. A foreigner and a hired servant shall not eat thereof. In one house shall it be eaten. Thou shalt not carry forth out of the flesh abroad out of the house, neither shall ye break a bone thereof. All the congregation of Israel shall keep it. And when a stranger shall so sojourn with thee, and will keep the Passover to the Lord, let all his males be circumcised, and then let him come near and keep it. And he shall be as one that is born in the land, for no uncircumcised person shall eat thereof. Well, it's a very good scripture. A few points to bring out for everybody. The stranger. Verse 43 says, there shall no stranger eat thereof. So no one, that point is great, a stranger.
It is. It
What's
is.
what's a stranger?
Yeah.
Or someone who doesn't know your God,
Right.
right?
Right.
And that's just part of it now,
That's right.
right? Because when people come into Israel, they don't know everything,
Right.
right?
Right.
It's strange to them.
Right,
That's right.
It's different.
exactly.
Right.
And but even more critical in regards to men, a stranger could be someone who's not circumcised, right? You have
To
to
be.
be circumcised.
Keep the Passover.
Guys, you
Keep the
know
Lord's
if you
Passover.
are.
Right.
Wives, you know if your husband is.
Right.
And parents, you know if your children are. You
Right.
know It's very crucial.
It is.
We're talking about life or death here,
Yes.
folks.
And there's no female circumcision.
Right.
That's right.
It's just
None.
male
Mhm.
circumcised.
And that's specified in the scriptures.
It
That's
is.
brutality.
Yes.
That's what
A
it
child,
is.
the God of Israel says
Abuse.
a man child
Male.
is offered up on the 8th day
Exactly.
and circumcised.
That's
There's
right.
no reference to
Right.
a female
Female,
circumcision when
never.
the baby's born and offered
No.
up on the 14th day.
Correct.
So there's no female circumcision
Right.
in the scripture.
Right.
Right. So again, we push the point of instructions.
Mhm.
You have to follow these instructions, right?
Yes.
And what's the God of Israel?
Right.
He's a God of instructions.
That's right.
Right?
But not only that, the circumcision, like I said, it's the covenant of circumcision.
Right.
Right.
That's the contract.
That's right.
That's like if
Exactly.
you have signed into a legal agreement with
Yes.
someone, if you go into a party, if you buy your first house or
Right.
you lease an apartment, you
Right.
have to sign a contract.
That's right.
This action of circumcision
is
is the
the-
signature
that-
for the contract
that's right.
with our relationship with the
foreskin.
God of
Mhm.
Israel.
Right.
So it means something.
Yes, it
Everything
does.
we do in Israel
Yes.
has a meaning.
Right.
Yes.
Yes,
it does.
So true.
Mm-hmm.
So good point about the stranger.
Mhm.
And my thoughts, once you are circumcised and you sit down at the Passover understanding, you're brethren. You're
Exactly.
no longer a stranger.
Right.
Exactly.
But it has to be called out, as Elder Dexter said.
Mhm.
When you're not circumcised, that's like being a stranger.
Exactly.
When you're serving another God and not this God, that's a stranger.
Mm-hmm.
But you are welcome once you are willing to humble yourself,
Mm-hmm.
follow the rules, and execute what is being instructed. And
Mhm.
that's what you see here.
Mhm.
So
You know,
know,
it said,
and Yeah, no, what I was just going to say too, and even 44, for every man's servant that is bought for money, when thou hast circumcised him. So same thing. Isn't it beautiful
Then you
how
can
God
use-
has made
Mhm.
provisions
For everybody.
every situation? Because if you have servants and they're in your home, they've been circumcised. They're like family.
Right.
Again, family.
Right.
And not until they've been circumcised can they keep the Lord's Passover. But they
Right.
have to understand,
Right.
what they're doing. So
Absolutely.
very
And we
important.
said about family, and it says a stranger that's sojourning among you,
Mhm.
right? So he's new to it,
Right.
but you know him.
Right.
You can vouch for this person.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
and it's about sincerity,
Right.
right? You know this person. Okay, we can trust him
Right.
to do what's right.
But not only that, if you look at the context when they were coming out of Egypt, they were in bondage. So of course, I'm sure the Egyptians looked on them as lowly people.
Mm-hmm.
So if there were folks that were not in Israel that were strangers that wanted to be with them, that says
Right.
a lot.
Yes, it does.
You know what I'm saying?
It does.
That you want to
have to
be with
understand.
these people that are oppressed,
Right.
and there's
And
some
you-
kind of understanding because you leaving Egypt with them.
Right.
You not
That's
staying.
exactly right.
They
So-
just got something, right? 'Cause
Yes.
They just got something.
Yes.
Pharaoh said, "Get out of here, just
Yes.
go."
Yeah.
So
And they probably, again, the angel of death passed over them too because
That's
they're able to
exactly
go
right.
out. So there's something to say. I always say when people do right by us, they're blessed.
Yes, they
Yeah.
are.
And you see
It
that
is
here,
true.
right?
That's right.
Because the strangers, their lives were saved because
That's
they were
right.
with Israel.
That's
True.
exactly right.
You know.
Exactly.
And then the God of Israel rewarded them by giving them this opportunity
That's
to partake
right.
in the Lord's Passover.
Right.
But just be circumcised.
That's right.
It's a beautiful
It
thing.
is. It is.
And they just
It's an
came amongst
honor.
Israel.
Yeah.
Even
That's
the
right.
war tribe they went into,
Right. Right.
But it doesn't really matter,
Right.
right? Long as you serve the God of Israel,
Exactly.
sincerity of heart,
Exactly.
Israelite.
And
You're acceptable to God. So
Right.
how can any man say that someone, because they're not of the seed of Abraham,
The
can't
right
partake
color.
in
Right,
this
that's the
doctrine?
right
If
color.
God said they can't
That's
for
right.
you,
That's
to say
Exactly.
that they cannot.
You
I mean,
know?
this is God. This is His family.
Right. He
has
can make
okay.
the rules and
That's
say how
right.
he wants his house to be.
That's right. Exactly.
So it's just you see the foolishness and the folly
Yes.
of so
People try
many
to
when
be
you really
little
read
G's,
and
try to
understand the
play little G,
scriptures.
but we play,
Yeah.
we doing the big G.
Yeah.
The big G.
And
right?
it's really sad because
Yeah.
here you have, let's say Jacob. Jacob wants to, I'm Israel, I'm an Israelite. But you don't even want to get circumcised, and then
Right.
you don't want other people to come in that have circumcised them, but have been circumcised, males that have been circumcised. They have an open heart to our God. No, they may not have brown skin,
Right.
but they've humbled
To do
themselves.
whatever
They've
that is
acknowledged,
required.
I
Mhm.
want to obey this God.
Right.
Is that not twisted?
Very
Listen,
twisted.
this God says if you don't do these things, your soul shall be cut off.
Off.
So you can stand in your own ignorance and
That's
say
right.
you
Yeah.
don't want to be circumcised.
Right.
We know what our God requires. He says it here.
That's
He
right.
said it when he called Abram out.
Mm-hmm.
And he's
Yeah.
said it when he given the law and how our children are to be offered up.
That's
so
right.
there's no way around
No.
the circumcision. That's our contract. That's our
right.
covenant.
That's right.
So it's very critical.
Mm-hmm.
The other component, and you talked a little bit about this earlier, Elder Dexter, about the unleavened bread being the bread of affliction. I wanted to kind of go to the scriptures and see where that is called out and talk a little bit more about that. So let's go to Deuteronomy 16. We're going to read verses 1 to 3, and Elder Janice, if you want to read for us.
Deuteronomy 16.
Yeah.
All right, 16. All right, verse 1.
1 to 3.
All right.
1 to 3.
Okay, observe the month of Abib and keep the Passover unto the Lord thy God. For in the month of Abib, the Lord thy God brought thee forth out of the land of Egypt by night.
That's okay. Right there. I love that verse.
I know it.
I love that verse. Man, it tells you everything.
I mean,
Wow.
there's no room for confusion.
Very
He's
clear.
very, I mean, crystal. When to do it, what time of the month, and why. And why.
Yeah. You
Oh,
understand.
yeah.
You eat with understanding.
Yes,
Yeah.
it's just beautiful. I love it. Thou shalt therefore, verse 2, thou shalt therefore sacrifice the Passover unto the Lord thy God of the flock and the herd in the place which the Lord shall choose to place his name there. So it's clear.
Right.
When, where, I mean, beautiful. How can you get this wrong?
You can't get it wrong.
You know? And thou shalt eat no leavened bread with it. 7 days shalt thou eat unleavened bread therewith, even the bread of affliction, for thou camest forth out of the land of Egypt in haste, that thou mayest remember the day when thou camest forth out of the land of Egypt all the days of thy life.
Right.
Don't not forget.
When to do
Remember.
it, the timing, everything, what you're to do, how you to do it. I mean, you can't get it. I mean, everything has just been so beautifully laid out for us because he wants us to get it right.
Yes.
We don't want to be.
Israelite, remember.
Not only that, but what we put in our
Remember.
mouths, each bite
Yes.
is to help us remember.
That's right.
So when you see this bread, it's not risen up because you understand you had to hurry up and get out of Egypt.
Right.
But also you remember the affliction.
You do.
Right?
You do.
Because we were in bondage, we were in slavery.
Yes.
This is the basic.
Yes.
Flour, water, and oil.
Yeah,
Yeah.
nothing
Not
fancy.
no expensive spices, nothing,
No.
just the basic
Basics.
of what his children could afford.
Yes.
Right?
But you.
And it's beautiful because now, being that we were in captivity for 400 years in this new Egypt,
Yes.
we could never afford all the bullocks
right.
and offerings
That's
that
right.
Solomon did in his time. We're
That's exactly
poor.
right.
We don't have that.
That's right. We don't have.
But the God of Israel, he allowed
Made
Jesus to be the
provisions.
sacrifice for us.
Yes.
Right? So that
Yes.
even in our captivity, we were okay.
Yes. And
You
can still adhere
To
his
his
laws,
laws,
statutes, and
and
commandments. It's
It's a
beautiful.
It's
It's beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. I love it.
Yep. So we see here, unleavened bread is the bread of affliction. Is symbolic of what we went through in Egypt and had to get out in haste.
Yeah.
But as you also mentioned, Elder Dexter, that this is angels' food.
It is.
This was not the first time that we've seen the situation of, or the only time that the example of unleavened bread is given. So let's go to the book of Judges and see why this is also called angels' food, right? Judges 6, verses 11 to 21. If you get it before me, please.
Verse 11. And there came an angel of the Lord and sat under an oak, which was an Ophrah, that pertained to Joash the Abiezrite, and his son Gideon threshed wheat by the winepress to hide it from the Midianites. And the angel of the Lord appeared to him and said to him, the Lord is with thee, thou mighty man of valor.
Okay, well, let's stop there and set this up. So this was a time where Israel was suffering under the hands of Midianites, and many of their confidence had gone. Right, they were suffering so much. It's like,
Awful.
a lot of times when we suffer as Israelites, we have to be careful. Even in the situation we were in Egypt,
to not give up on our God.
That's right.
Not to lose hope in the power of this God. And that's why I think that it's so important that the God of Israel tells us, remember what I did for you in Egypt.
Right.
Because when we're suffering, we have to think on that.
That's right.
Because He
Only that
is
can
going to
get us
take
through.
care of us. He's going to come through. It may not
Yes.
be in our time.
That's right.
And we might have to learn the lesson that we have to learn.
That's right.
But boy, is He going to come through for us.
Trust and believe that.
He's always watching.
That's right.
That's why we say you can't fool God.
No.
So,
No, you can't.
you always try to have clean
No.
hands and a pure heart because
Yes.
you can't fool Him. He
No, you
knows your
can't.
heart. He's
Right.
created it.
Yes. Yes.
But we as a people, when we're suffering in our personal lives, when things are not going right, just keep the faith and
Yeah, we
remember the times where He's brought you through
That's
before.
right. That's
and
exactly
bank
right.
on that.
That's
Don't
right.
think about the place that you're in and what's negative that's
Right.
happening to you now.
Right.
Remember
Yeah.
what He's done for you before in your personal
right.
life. And if you can't think of something, think of what
That-
He's done for us here
That's right.
when He led us out of Egypt, right?
That's right.
And even in this situation with Gideon, it's a similar situation where the God of Israel is going to help them as well.
That's right.
So my message is when you're down and when you never lose hope.
That's right.
Yeah.
And that's the sad thing about our people,
Yeah.
right? The children of Jacob that don't know they're Israel.
Yeah.
It's really sad when you see
It
them in
is.
certain situations because you can see that the hope is gone.
Yeah. And as long as you're breathing, there is an opportunity to
change,
Yeah.
make a difference.
and there's hope. You
Right.
can't lose hope, because if you lose hope, what's the point?
There's nothing left.
You just
Well, if you don't know who you are, what can you have hope in?
That's
that is
true.
that
If
is
I
really
didn't know I
true.
was an Israelite, I probably would be hopeless
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
what's the solution?
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? What's
Yes.
the answer
Because
to?
we've tried everything and
Right. Nothing's
nothing
worked.
has stuck.
Yeah.
But this
Yeah, I don't understand the whole process of keep doing the same thing over and over again.
that's insanity.
And you try even harder,
Mhm.
try even harder,
Mhm.
nothing happens.
Yeah.
Yeah. Nothing happens.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah.
So, and then I don't know. Then what you pray and hope that it's a
Yeah.
better day,
Yeah.
But what about now?
Yeah. But you know what, just think about when we all first came in, before we came into Israel, I know I was at a place and it did feel hopeless. What I knew, this whole Christianity,
It's not
what
right.
I know,
Right.
I can't do this anymore.
Yeah.
Because this,
Wasn't your path.
I could not do that anymore. And I needed this God of truth, creator of heaven and earth, whatever can't be it.
Right.
This was just, it was not feeding me.
Right.
So I know I had to stop that.
Yeah.
And then was open, and it just,
That's the key. Open. Open to what the God of Israel can do for us if we
Yes.
turn to Him.
yeah.
And that's
That's how
what
it
you
happened.
see here in this story of Gideon. He didn't lose hope.
No, he
was
didn't.
he was very humble. But
Yeah.
we'll see it as we read through.
Verse 13.
Yeah.
And God said to him, "Oh my Lord, if the
Gideon.
Lord."
No, wait,
if-
Gideon.
Gideon.
Yeah.
No, he
And
said
Gideon
it.
said to him, "Oh my Lord, if the Lord be with us,
Mhm.
why then is all this befallen us?
Yeah.
And where be all his miracles, which our fathers told us of, saying, Did not the Lord bring us up from Egypt? But now the Lord hath forsaken us and delivered us unto the hands of the Midianites."
So
See,
he
and that's
sounded kind of
beautiful.
hopeless, though.
Yes.
He sounded a little bit hopeless there.
And you know
Yeah.
what? And so this is perfect for us today.
Mm-hmm.
When we're in this space
Right.
that
Be
you've
open.
done all that you know to do,
Right.
we have to do just this.
Turn
The
to
same,
our
be at the
God.
same
Mhm.
place
Yep.
and turn to God, because He promised never to leave us nor forsake us, regardless to where we are,
Right.
Right.
pits of hell, wherever.
Yeah.
He
And
is there
you
with
remember
us.
in Egypt. You remember Egypt.
That's right.
Right.
Yeah, Gideon did.
Yeah.
He
Yeah,
did.
yeah,
He
yeah,
remembered
yeah.
it, right?
Yes.
Yeah,
That's
we
right.
did.
Mm-hmm.
Where
So
Pharaoh
his parents
was
was
the king.
doing something right.
That's right.
For him to know.
That's
to say,
right.
Hey, this is
Wait a
what
minute,
he
they
did
told
for
what are the
us. Yeah.
miracles? Why has this happened to us? Yeah.
Okay, verse 14.
Mm-hmm.
And the Lord looked upon him and said,
See?
Go in this thy might, and thou shalt save Israel from the hand of the Midianites.
Mm-hmm.
Have not I sent thee?
Wow.
And he said unto him, O my Lord, wherewith shall I save Israel? Behold, my family is poor, and Manasseh, and I am the least my father's house.
Mm.
So when you read the story of Gideon, it's very amazing
Yes.
because
It is.
he does have some insecurities.
He
right?
really
he's
does.
Always,
He's
he's
kind of
kind testing God a lot. Okay, if you
wait a
know,
minute, is it? Mm-hmm.
Yes, you could tell how his state was low. They was beaten down, but he was humble, right? He was humble.
Mm-hmm.
And the Lord said to him, surely I will be with thee, and thou shalt smite the Midianites as one man.
Mm-hmm.
And he said to him, if now I have found grace in thy sight, then show me a sign that thou is with me.
Lord, I need to make sure.
But you know, he's being us. We know that.
Yeah.
He had those times where we have doubt. Even though we have the God of Israel, there's times where
that's life.
I'm hoping I'm doing right. Hope I'm doing
just
the
show me a
best I
sign,
can
God of
do.
Israel. Just give me a sign. That I'm making the right choice. I don't know. Let me know.
Right.
Yeah.
But continue on.
Mm-hmm.
Depart not hence, I pray thee, until I come unto thee, and bring forth my present, and set it before thee. And he said, I will tarry until thou come again.
Right, so God of Israel's like, give me an offering, right?
Yeah.
Because I'm about to work it.
That's right.
Right? And listen, when the God of Israel honors our requests and help us, we can't forget that.
That's right.
We have to give back the praise unto
That's
him.
right.
Whether you
That's
have
right.
a feast,
That's right.
you get on your knees and say thank you.
That's right. You have to acknowledge
something is due.
Yeah, you got.
And the God of Israel is great. Kind of, he's being a parent. He's like, don't forget my present. All right, don't depart.
Yeah,
Because
again, we have to.
You gotta acknowledge.
You have to remember.
And see how much you wanted.
And as a parent, look, as a parent, that's how I feel too. When you give your child something, you want them to show that they appreciate it, right?
That's right.
Gratitude.
Some
gratitude.
Yeah, very important. Because if they don't, you're not getting the next time.
Exactly. And why should I? You didn't appreciate it.
Right.
So
that's right.
19. And Gideon went in and made ready a kid, and 11 cakes of an ephah of flour, and the flesh he put in a basket, and he put the broth in a pot, and brought it out unto him under the oak, and presented it.
Right. So unleavened cakes, right?
You see, like he cooked, right?
He didn't know how to put it together,
right.
everything, right? And this was quick.
Just
it's a quick thing. He had to put it together to make this offering.
And
the angel of God said unto him, take the flesh and the unleavened cakes, and lay them upon this rock, and pour out the broth. And he did so. Then the angel of the Lord put forth the end of the staff that was in his hand, and touched the flesh and the 11 cakes. And there rose up fire out of the rock, and consumed the flesh and the unleavened cakes. And the angel of the Lord departed out of his sight.
Right. So we see this was angels' food. Another example is in Genesis. If we go to Genesis 19. So this the unleavened bread is not anything new. This was in Genesis, right? This is our culture, right?
Genesis 19.
Verses 1 to 3, if you got it.
Okay. And there came 2 angels, to Sodom and even, and Lot sat in the gate of Sodom. And Lot, seeing them, rose up and met them. And he bowed himself with his face toward the ground. And he said, behold now, my lords, turn in, I pray thee, into your servant's house, and tarry all night, wash your feet, and ye shall rise up early and go on your ways. And they said, nay, but we will abide in the street all night. And he pressed upon them greatly.
He knew what was happening. He was like,
he
no,
knows
you
what's
don't want to
happening
be out there in the streets.
In them streets. Not out there. No, you need to be in here with me and my family. And be.
Things is bad now, but man, that time
you
was
don't
real
want to be in
bad.
the streets.
Because what you guys got to do, you don't want to do it too soon. You want to do it at the appointed time. And he pressed upon them greatly, and they turned in unto him, and entered into his house, and he made them a feast, and did bake unleavened bread, and they did eat. So, and again, they're there. you know that the angels of God are coming. They're coming with a plan.
To
God
execute
sends
something.
them there to
They
do something. They don't have time
Right.
to be playing.
They ain't there chilling.
So you're
Quick.
gonna have to do whatever, because if God sent them, He's got a timetable. God is
You ain't got
precise.
time to wait for no yeast to rise.
Right. Haste.
You got to do it quickly, whatever it is.
Chop,
Yeah.
chop.
You know.
Because they were willing to. No, we're gonna be out here.
Right.
Because we came to handle God's business.
Exactly.
Not to just come and watch Netflix and kick back,
Right.
take the shoes off.
It's
you know.
true, but you see the culture here, and Lot, you know, he wasn't, you know, of the line of Abraham. He was related to Abraham, and he was around him, his cousin, right?
Yeah.
But you
Nephew?
see
Is
that
it nephew?
culture, culture there. He understood what to do
That's right.
when an angel of the Lord appeared.
That's
like
right.
you make an offering. You know what I'm
Right.
saying?
That's
He
exactly
understood that.
Come in, wash your feet. You know,
He understood,
yeah.
right?
Mhm.
Spiritual matters, so
Mhm.
it's very important.
Mhm.
So we see this unleavened bread is man, I feel special now, and I know it's angels food, right?
Yeah.
It's there's a purpose around it, but also in the circumstances you're in, of haste to make quickly, it's also utilized in that way as well.
But we ain't talking matzah bread.
No,
right?
no, we're not.
You can buy it at the Kroger's.
Not
They sit on the
that.
shelf.
Not quite.
All kind of preservatives, all kinds of
Yeah.
all kind of junk.
Yeah, it's
You
just it's crazy. And at this time, the unleavened bread, there's just nothing like it when
Yeah.
you're eating it,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah,
It is
I
the
love
best.
It is the best.
Yeah.
Right.
Why they say no cap. That's the
Mhm.
real thing. But so we've talked about the requirements of the Passover. I hope that we've laid it out nicely for you, like what we eat, how we prep the lamb, how do we ourselves prepare for what's required. But I also want to look at it from the perspective of Jesus,
Yeah.
right? Because we understand that he was the last
That's
sacrificial lamb, right? That what Jesus' life, he was the fulfillment of the law of Passover, right? In the flesh.
Yes.
But there would be no Jesus if there was no Passover,
That's right.
so to speak, right? It's
Right.
it's
That's
just it's the same,
see a
right? From
precedence.
the beginning to
All
it,
the way.
and from the first to the second
That's right.
testament. So I want to look at Jesus and kind of show that relation there. So we're going to go to Isaiah,
And we're going
chapter
to see the
53.
same. It's no different.
No different, right? This is one book. Isaiah chapter 53. And I'm going to start with verse 1 to 7. And it reads, again, Isaiah chapter 53, verses 1 through 7. Who hath believed our report? And to whom is the arm of the Lord revealed? For he shall grow up before him as a tender plant, and as a root out of a dry ground. He hath no form nor comeliness. And when we shall see him, there is no beauty that we should desire him. Okay, so Isaiah is talking about this Jesus that's going to come up. He's not the most handsome looking guy, but he has a purpose, right?
Plain.
Verse 3, he is despised and rejected of men, a man of sorrows and acquainted with grief. And we hid, as it were, our faces from him. He was despised, and we esteemed him not.
That sounds just like us.
Interesting how.
Sounds like us, but that's a heavy burden.
Yeah,
that
yes,
Jesus had to carry.
yes, it is.
And it's
Yes, it is.
how he's despised, rejected, but yet
It's
the
relative.
image they show today,
It's
they all
everybody
love him.
loves
They love him.
Jesus, right?
They
But the
love
scripture
him.
says y'all despised, y'all rejected him. He was a man of sorrow.
That's right.
Right.
So we know the Jesus that the world loves. It is
It's
not.
this one.
this
not in
one.
this book.
No.
No. Right?
Yeah.
He wasn't a great looking
No.
man.
No.
He carried a heavy burden.
Yes.
He was rejected. He was despised.
Despised and rejected.
And he
of
was
man.
without
He
sin,
was.
trying to give the world
Yeah.
the truth, the light, the way.
Mhm.
But he was rejected and
But
despised.
for this truth.
How awful that must have
Yeah.
felt. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Because you
Yeah.
can think in your own personal life, when you were telling the truth about something,
Yeah.
and if somebody thinks you're lying,
Yeah.
that
That hurts.
that is just like the worst.
Yes, it
because
is.
you want people to know your truth, right?
Yes.
You don't want people to perceive you in a way that you know that is
right.
not the
true.
truth.
That's right.
True of who you are, and
Yeah.
and that has to be hard. That
And
he had to live that
and
life.
Yes.
especially if that truth it's gonna
help them.
Help them,
Right.
yes.
If you don't
Give
do
them
it,
life.
you're gonna be punished for it.
Yeah.
For not doing it.
Yeah, that's gotta be difficult.
Heavy
But
burden.
we see that though, even when we teach this doctrine.
That's right.
People
Yeah.
hate us
Yeah.
with the doctrine.
Yeah.
Yeah, even though we can prove right there
Mm-hmm.
in black and white,
Right.
they still question it or
Yeah.
hate it.
Yeah.
But when they go to their pastor on Sundays, there's
They
no
eat that
questions
up.
at all.
Yeah, they
There's
eat that up.
nothing.
That is so true.
You
Yeah.
know?
They'll come in here and
Mhm.
want to tell you that you can't use the letter J,
You know what I'm
and they have a
saying?
child with the name letter J. I'll never forget the lady that came and
Oh
she
yeah.
said we couldn't use the letter J, and her son was named Jordan.
Yeah.
And I'm like, how is that
With
even
H.
possible?
Yeah. That makes no sense
At all.
People just don't even.
They don't.
It's like they regurgitate.
I'm gonna
You know
tell
what's been spit in their
it's
mouth.
the wine they
Yeah.
drink. The wine got them all messed up. You know,
Oh, no.
the wine and the marijuana and the new moons.
And all their gods, little G gods.
Right, it's all messed up, man. They can't say the name right. They
Yeah.
aka yabba dabba do. You know what?
It's
It don't
messed
make
up.
no
I don't
sense,
get it.
man.
I don't get it.
Instructions.
This God that we serve is a God of truth,
Yes.
and he is not a God of
Oh,
confusion.
No.
Not
And here Isaiah is speaking of Jesus
Amen.
who's to come and the burden that he has to carry. Verse 4 says, surely he hath borne our griefs and carried our sorrows.
Wow. Can you imagine?
But like you said when we were reading it, sounds like us. He
That's-
embodied
Yes.
Israel,
Yes.
right? So when people say he came for the world,
Yeah,
no
no,
way.
he
When you
didn't.
read this,
No.
the world is not
No.
suffering like
No.
black people have suffered. No,
No.
they don't have the grief that
No.
we have.
No, they don't.
Yeah, they might have issues that happen, but for 400 years,
yeah.
No one suffered like we have.
I was talking to my daughter Mikhail. She was in class, and the teacher had brought up the question of the Holocaust. Right.
Mm-hmm.
So, all right, I already knew her angle, and right. So I wanted to tell her.
Mm-hmm.
So she says, ask the class, what's the Holocaust? So I told her, that's when you ask a question. Ask her which one. Which one?
Did she?
Because
Did she?
we'll see. I said no. The Holocaust is not a word that's used for them. It's just
That's
a word
right.
for a massacre of people.
Right.
Now,
Right.
Think about it. I'm not saying what's worse, but thinking 40 years or 400 years.
Right.
take your pick.
That's
Yeah.
right. What's the worst?
Hey.
That's right.
But not only that, well, we have a history.
Mhm.
40 to 30 years in Egypt.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And
That's right.
time in Babylon, and I mean, just the history
Yeah.
of our people,
Yeah.
right? It's grief.
Yes.
I mean, most of it is our own cause.
That is right.
But-
But we disobey our God.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's
It's our
truly-
fault.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
truly.
We can't blame anybody else or hate anybody else.
Yeah.
If we would turn to our God and obey Him,
Man.
all of this, the world, everything would change.
Would be right.
You know.
Can you read verse 5?
Well, I'm still not
Okay.
finished 4. I'm gonna start 4 over. So
Okay.
surely he hath borne our griefs
Mhm.
and carried our sorrows. So
Mhm.
this Jesus did this.
Mhm.
Yet we did esteem him stricken, smitten of God, and afflicted. But he was wounded for our transgressions. He was bruised for our iniquities. The chastisement of our peace was upon him, and with his stripes he was, beaten. We are healed.
Yes.
Man, he's trying to tell you the truth.
Mm-hmm.
You
And
rejected, and he's still taking lashes because of you.
Mhm.
Man.
And he was bruised for our
Heavy.
iniquities. He was innocent.
Yeah.
He was
I get
innocent.
emotional when
That's
I
a
read
lamb.
that, you know?
Yeah.
It's heavy.
Yeah. The chastisement of
Of
our
our-
peace.
Yeah.
Yeah. And with his stripes we are
We
healed.
are.
All we like sheep have gone astray.
Mhm.
We have turned everyone to his own way, and the Lord hath laid on him the iniquity of us all.
Israel. Mm-hmm.
He was oppressed and he was afflicted, yet he opened not his mouth. He is brought as a lamb to the slaughter, and as a sheep before her shears is dumb. So he opened not his mouth.
Wow.
He just took it.
How can we not do what is right when you understand the depth?
There you go. You said it.
How I mean,
You said it. Understand.
That's it.
You understand.
how when you
Israel
read
isn't
this,
Israel.
what he did for us,
And the thing is, this ain't about anybody else. It's about Israel.
Yes.
Christian. It's about the people of the book.
Yeah.
It's what we did. Don't look to somebody else.
No.
It's what we did.
That's right.
How we disobeyed. Even think about the story of Saul.
Yes.
You know, and how his prophet was rejected.
Yes.
So, they ain't reject you. They rejected me.
That's right.
You know, we've done
exactly
so much
right.
some bad stuff we've done in the past, man. Seriously.
Yeah.
And stop looking out there.
That's
right.
Yourself. That's exactly right. Look in the mirror. Look in the mirror.
Lord.
When we do that, and that's what we want. We want people to understand. We, as the children of God, we have to look in the mirror. We have to acknowledge what we've done and what we continue to do when we don't turn and obey our God. That's why we're suffering, because it's what we've decided to do. We have to get this right. And so, even as we talk about this, it is important when new brethren want to come in, they must understand this. Yeah. And if they don't understand this, that's how sometimes the decision is made. Wait a minute. If they don't understand, maybe they need to wait. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Because the new brethren coming in, they let us know if they're ready or not. Right. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Based on where they are. Right. And because we want everybody to come in, but we want people to understand
the fullness.
It's imperative that they understand. Right. They must understand.
Because, and I do understand when you come in, the level of your understanding will grow.
That's right.
But there's simple truths that just you need to understand.
And be willing.
And be willing.
You have to have a willing and open heart.
Yeah. But understanding what is required, and when we talk about Jesus being a sacrificial lamb, this lamb goes back to the Passover lamb.
It does.
And this was an offering for the sins of Israel.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
That's why we do it every year.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
It's also, when Aaron used to go in with all the sacrifices for people for all of our sins, but Jesus, he embodied that for Israel. He was that lamb to take that away. Right. You know what I'm saying? So that we have an opportunity to connect with our God.
That's right.
Right. Exactly. And not be disconnected.
Yeah.
It's like we have to be able to connect that and sit down at the Passover meal and eat with understanding.
Exactly.
From Genesis
that's critical
to Revelation.
It's critical.
We have to understand.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Any other thoughts about Jesus? I do want to go talk about his sin.
Isn't it? It's really like
it's a lot. It's a lot.
Yeah.
But I do want to go to the book of John because I know we have about maybe 5 minutes. And talk about a little bit more about Jesus. We're going to go to John 1:29 because it's important to understand.
John 1:29.
We talked in Isaiah and I think that should kind of connect it, that who this Jesus was. Right. But to hear John say this in John 1 verse 29, if you get it, you can read it.
Okay. The next day John seeth Jesus. Coming unto him and saith, Behold the Lamb of God, which taketh away the sin of the world.
Right?
Wow. Do you want me to continue, or that's
it?
Okay.
But I do want to go.
Right there.
That's a mouthful.
That is.
But I wanted folks to see the correlation from the Lamb that we talk about in the Passover to this Jesus being the Lamb of God, which taketh away the sin of the world. And we know it's not the world. We just read Isaiah. No. That was Israel. Israel's in the world.
That's right.
So if you read Isaiah, it's just all about Israel. Exactly. But let's go more into John. Let's go to chapter 19.
How can you speak ill of Jesus? How can you still tell you?
Because of
the light in you.
Yeah.
Your darkness.
Yes.
How can you say, well, JC's this, JC's that? How can you say foolish thing like that?
I know.
I can't. Let's see.
John, what now?
John chapter 19. We are going to read verses 31 to 36. And I'll read John 19, verses 31 to 36. The Jews, therefore, because it was the preparation that the body should not remain upon the cross on the Sabbath day. So this is when the crucifixion happened. Okay, for the Sabbath day wasn't for that Sabbath day was an high day. Besought Pilate that their legs might be broken and that they might be taken away. So there were two other bodies on the cross along with Jesus. And it says, so that the tradition for the Roman soldiers are to go and break the bones, right? So verse 32 says, then came the soldiers and brake the legs of the first and of the other, which was crucified with him. But when they came to Jesus and they saw that he was dead already, they break not his legs.
So isn't that's
right?
Again, the perfection, the timing, the precision of God, how he did that. So he died before,
right?
You know,
that had to happen so this could happen. So we're going to read on, and then we're going to flip back to see where the lamb from Passover, the bones are not.
Right.
So, but one of the soldiers with a spear pierced his side, and forthwith came there out blood and water. And he saw that it bare record, and his record is true, and he knoweth that he saith true, that you might believe. For these things were done, that the scripture should be fulfilled, a bone of him shall not be broken. All right, so we're going to flip to Numbers 9:12, and we're going to see the same thing. Now we're in the Second Testament, we're flipping back to the First Testament.
Numbers 9:12.
9:12.
Okay, we have
All right.
about a
And
minute.
it says, they shall leave none of it until the morning, nor break any bone of it, according to all the ordinance of the Passover, they shall keep it. So we see that same thing here with Jesus in the Second Testament, how his bones could not be broken, and in the Passover, the bones could not be broken.
And the same as it is today. Yeah.
Jesus was a sacrificial lamb.
Yes.
So I know we're at time. I really wanted more to share. It went by so quickly.
So much.
But I hope we were able to share with you
Yes.
about the Lord's Passover, and that you were able to be informed about what is required
Yes.
to keep the Lord's Passover, and that if you are interested in joining the Israelite Nation Worldwide Ministries, whether you are a stranger, whether you are a child of Jacob, a descendant of slaves, and you want to know how to serve this God and keep the Lord's Passover,
Yes.
Israelite Nation Worldwide Ministries is the place to seek.
Amen.
Reach out to us. Go to our website, Israelite Nation, www.israelitenation.com. We are here every Friday night at 7:30 on YouTube, and then on Saturdays at 2 p.m. There's a number on our website. You can contact us.
Right.
We will be happy to share with you how to keep the Lord's Passover. Thank you for your time, and we bid you peace.
Peace.